Everybody, welcome to Board Table Talk, RAMcast, all of the shows in one. I'm here with Colleen Zasowski, our school board president. I'm Erin Crew, director of communications, marketing, and media. Hi, Colleen. How are you today?
Good, Erin. How are you today?
I'm well, thanks. I feel like we just saw each other. Probably hasn't even been 12 hours yet because it was a late meeting last night.
It was. It went a little bit longer last night. Yeah. No, we had a lot to cover, and I think we did it. So
we did. So let's start our talk today with our March 8th meeting.
Sure.
And earlier this year we switched around the formatting of the meeting so that we're now the second Monday and fourth Monday of the month. So we have that little break in between and then a couple weeks in between the first and the second one each month. But it's kind of hard to forget. It wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago, and we've had all these committee meetings in between. But 2 weeks ago, we recognized 4 National Merit finalists, which was very exciting. Those students came to that meeting to be able to stand up with their family, receive recognition from the board. And this is always a time of year that our board members really like, to be able to have these students come in and receive some praise for the hard work they've done throughout their time here at Springford.
Right. It really is the payoff. It is definitely our favorite time of year because you get to see the translation of all the hard work and the efforts of the whole Springford community to support our students. And we want them to excel. We want to give them every tool and resource and opportunity to be able to excel. And that's the payoff. That's one of the payoffs, I should say. There are a lot of events coming up where we will be recognizing a number of students for a number of accomplishments academically, athletically, musically. So we'll be recognizing a lot of those, and it really is our favorite time of year because you work so hard all year long to try and have everything in place that's going to support the students and help them to grow and blossom, and then to have this and to have 4 students this year with that was just super. That was just great. I'm so glad they were able, a number of them were able to come. I think 1 or 2 were not, but we were really happy to acknowledge that and bring a smile to the board. Thank you. But it's not the only thing that's made us smile recently either. We had the rendition of the musical Guys and Dolls. That was pretty recent too. So it's nice to see some of the highlights come back to the board, and I guess I want to say normalize board business a little bit, be able to recognize the accomplishments of our students.
So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, and we actually didn't have this topic on our pre-meeting chat. We set a graduation date last night.
We did.
I don't know how I missed that from our review.
Yes.
We set a graduation date last night for in-person graduation.
For
It'll be a little
one in person.
One date, maybe not quite as many people as we typically have.
Sure.
One in-person graduation date.
Super excited. And 2 rain dates that are
2 rain dates. 2
rain dates that are scheduled so that if we need to make that move because of weather, we have that already built in. I'm very excited. I know that the senior parents were probably thrilled to hear that as well and have that announced, because typically, I think we're a little bit early with that. I dare I say early or right on time. We're certainly
right on
not
time
with getting out the graduation date. So
last year, it was approved very early. It was approved in September of 19 last year for a whole bunch of odd reasons. But prior to that, it's typically been March. So we're totally on schedule, totally on time. In terms of the date, Dr. Collier has a lot of planning to do. He has a spreadsheet that has all of the numbers for how many people can come and the number of tickets and the number of individuals in the stadium who can be there. So it's a lot of work still, but we have a date, which is exciting. And we should say it's June 15th. I'm not sure if
June 15th. June 15th.
June 15th for the class of 2021.
Yeah. And just to clarify, because I did bring up last night too, when our student rep had asked about it being maybe closer to a weekend or something like that. And I understand that there's planning that's going on, people from out of town that may be coming in to celebrate with the family. Even if they're not in person at McNally Stadium, they may be celebrating with the family in another forum or what have you. But we needed to build in those rain dates. So that is why we have it on a Tuesday and then Wednesday, Thursday as those optional dates. So yes.
I don't remember a Friday graduation in the past. I think we've had Thursdays for sure. I don't recall a Friday grad. I could be off on that. But I think, the date she threw out there was also a week earlier than it would have been. So maybe
it was.
Maybe we're just keeping our fingers crossed to get out a little bit early this year.
Maybe. And Tom had asked too, Mr. DeBello had asked about, we have to make sure that we have the compliance with the number of hours and the days and that that I know Mr. Rizzo has has a pulse on. So we have to have that all has to be taken into consideration. So when looking at the whole picture, the 15th was the best date to go with. And I think that the senior parents will be happy to know when it is taking place, along with the happiness, the joy that goes with the so many other end of year events that are going to be taking place in person. We're so, as a board, we were definitely pushing for that. And I'm so happy to see Mr. Rizzo, Dr. Collier, you, Erin, everybody doing everything you guys can to make that happen, because they've lost, this class has lost a lot. And I say that sincerely. If you recall last year, it was very difficult for the seniors, the juniors too. They never had a prom. They're not having a fully recognized prom. It's different. There's a twist on it this year. And the college search for them was cut short. A lot of that was done virtually. So there have been some losses for this class, but to see them regain the opportunity to have these events and celebrate in person with the COVID restrictions in place and what we know how to manage those is really just heartwarming. So we're very grateful. Board's very grateful. I have already been texted, called, emailed, Facebooked, whatever you want to call it, by so many senior parents that are really grateful for all those events that were announced last night, from NHS Decision Day to Impact Awards to the academic banquets, the athletic banquets, the music nights, to graduation and everything in between. I'm not leaving anything out on purpose. I'm just trying. There's so many things.
There's a lot. Dr. Collier sent that email really right after the board voted to approve June 15th. He got that information out to his families, and it was a full list.
I saw it.
Everything that's happening at the end of the year. So there is a lot going on, not just for our high school students either. He included in that list our spring play, which would have been a fall play, moved to spring to be able to accommodate more students. There's the Festival of the Arts, which is 7 through 12. The music department is doing a huge music spectacular on in May 22nd, which is 7 through 12. So he included in that email a lot of end of year events that go beyond just seniors. It'll be a special day, each one of those, for the seniors as well. When you think about our senior musicians, this will be their big culminating event. And how neat is that to be able to celebrate everything they've done with all of the kids around with them, with the students who are a little bit younger than them, who've come up with them, who've been in the band program together. So it's a really neat end of year program that he's putting together to include more students in the entire process. It'll be fun to see.
It will be. And those, what an opportunity for the younger students too. Like you were saying, these older students are their role models. They look to them with just admiration, right? And think, wow, hey, could I get there? And they will get there. They will be as accomplished as those students are. We've seen it happen over and over again. So what a great opportunity for all of them, for our seniors to have that night and our juniors to have that night, and everyone in between, and the younger students to see how it happens and the magic that they will make that night. So yeah, it's really great. And I also heard too last night, our student rep, when she gave the report, even the elementary schools, we're talking about some of the events that they're doing. It just feels like we're really we're really pulling this year together. And
Mhm.
very grateful for all the efforts that have taken place to make that happen.
Yeah. So let's go back to our first meeting. We also recognized 4 student of the quarters from the high school level, 9 through 12. And Andrew with our CTV does a really great video that he puts together every quarter to highlight these students now and talk to them about why they were selected by their teachers. So the teacher nominates a student and they're recognized. So let's go ahead and watch that video now.
Sounds good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Student of the Quarter on Ram Country TV. Today, we're going to be talking with 4 students who have won this award for the second marking period of the 2020-2021 school year. These students are nominated from teachers for going above and beyond their role as a student. Each student receives a certificate for their accomplishments. Our first winner is freshman Brooklyn Dahlquist. Brooklyn is a student I look forward to seeing every day. She always has a smile on her face, especially with distance learning. Brooklyn makes a true effort to stay engaged. She constantly has her camera on when most students don't, volunteers daily, and is overall just a positive contribution to our class. She is an incredible hard worker and has a sincere concern for her peers and my well-being. She stands out as being a student who I can trust and one I can rely on in any group situation. That's what the first teacher wrote. Another teacher wrote, Brooklyn is hardworking, kind, friendly, and determined. She is a true asset to Springford, but often goes unnoticed in the area of Springford students. She deserves recognition. And finally, Brooklyn has been a stellar student throughout this year. She's an extremely conscientious and hardworking student who has adapted and evolved through all the trials of hybrid learning. She is also involved in the school community through service clubs such as Animal Rescue Club. Brooklyn, what is your reaction to how these teachers have described you?
Well, it makes me feel really good that my teacher is saying this stuff about me because they are super nice. I really like them. I like all of my teachers this year, but especially those ones. I know that last teacher is my English teacher. I just can know her wording, but it just makes me feel really good about myself that people do notice that I'm working hard and like trying to be like kind of like friendly to everyone.
And how do you manage your time in an environment like this?
Well, as you know, we're like spending so much time on the computer. Even if you're in school or at home, your whole day is on the computer. So when I get home, I always like to step away from the computer. I like to go outside, play some volleyball, which I love. I like to spend time with my family, friends, my dogs. So I definitely like to get away from the computer for a little bit.
And if you have any advice, what could you give to your fellow students?
My advice I would give to them, if they're having a hard time at school, even if it's like educationally or personally, I would say definitely talk to your teachers, your principals, your counselors. They are there to help you and they want to help you. They want to know what you did this weekend or what are you doing this weekend. They want to know more about you. So I'm sure they would love to hear all about that.
Well, I appreciate your time, Brooklyn, and have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Our next winner is Matt Chazkowski. This teacher wrote, he is one of the most polite and respectful students I have worked with at Springford. He is so kind and helpful to his peers. He is always on task and engaged in the lessons and is always willing to participate. Matt has such a positive attitude and always has a smile on his face. Matt, how does this make you feel?
It makes me feel really good inside.
Good.
I'm honored that they chose me and said this about me. It's nice they said that.
And how have you been managing your time? Because you're in person. How have you been managing that with like Wednesdays asynchronous and the schoolwork? How have you best managed your time?
Probably like I like getting my work done like immediately because I don't really like procrastinate, because once I get my work done and I have my whole day to myself. And sometimes when it's honestly harder on Wednesdays because we're not at school where I can normally ask teachers for help in class. And so normally like music helps me get right into doing my work, because I usually because when I get up for school in normal days, it's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. but on the Wednesdays it's like 8 or 9, so I only have a little bit less time to do my work, so I just get it done immediately.
And what about some advice for your fellow classmates? What would you tell them?
Just to be more of like a self-advocate, like ask questions when you know you're supposed to. Don't wait until it's the last second, because then once the time comes for the assignment to be done, then you just need the help that you could have gotten.
Good. Well, congratulations on winning this award.
Thank you.
So our next winner is junior Kirsten Soki. Kirsten is a very compassionate young lady who strives to make connections with her peers, teachers, and others around her. She is an extremely hardworking student who sees success because of her tenacity. She is willing to try new opportunities and contributes to her group discussions in a very positive way, but makes sure others also have a voice in this discussion. Kirsten, what is your reaction to how this teacher describes you?
I am very grateful that she was able to see those qualities, especially in this virtual environment, and how it's a bit harder to actually like express yourself through this. And so I think it was very kind of her, and I really appreciate that she was nominating me and giving me this opportunity to actually show through with this.
So you said about expressing yourself in a virtual environment. How do you do that? Is it just as simple as having your camera on and staying engaged? And also, how do you manage your time in this environment?
Definitely camera on, staying engaged. I also like to make connections with my teachers, so I'll try to share personal stories with them after class or relate to them in some way. I definitely, with regards to the time management, I tend to work ahead a lot, and that is surprisingly a lot easier in this virtual environment because teachers are able to post assignments earlier. And so then I just try to get things done as quick as possible, leaving the most amount of time I can for projects or for, life outside of school. And I definitely do take advantage of as much time as I can. If I'm let out of a Zoom meeting early, or if I have a free period, I will definitely utilize that and just try to get everything done as consistently as possible.
And what advice would you give to other students in your class if they're working in a virtual environment?
Definitely if you are able to get things done ahead of time, because it does pay off in the end, being able to spend your weekends nicely, not cramming things in every Sunday night. And I definitely do recommend trying to make some sort of connection with teachers, because when you establish that connection and you're able to communicate with them about things outside of school and stuff, then you can probably connect with them better as a teacher, and then maybe their learning style will eventually reflect back on how you are taking in the information, or just working with them as well as other students in the class.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it as well.
Our next winner is senior Sydney Hutchison. Sydney is resilient and very focused. She is highly motivated and not pretentious. She is polite and always kind to staff and other students. As a senior who is already accepted to college, she still does all of her work on time and with excellent detail. Sydney, what is your reaction to how this staff member describes you?
Well, that was very nice. I'm glad that whoever it was said that about me. I am glad that she said that, because I feel like a lot of the things that he or she mentioned is stuff that I've actively been trying to do, like putting a lot of effort into doing, like making sure I get all my work done and not getting senioritis and like stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very happy that that's what they thought of me.
Awesome. And how do you manage your time and schoolwork in the environment that we're in right now for the first at least 2 quarters?
I think I just try to get stuff done as soon as possible, because a lot of teachers, or at least a lot of my teachers, give us assignments and then they're like, oh, well, this isn't due until tomorrow night, or this isn't due until the end of the week, or this isn't due until like a week from now. So like, instead of just waiting till like the very last minute and waiting for all of these assignments to pile up, I just try to do them as they come out, so that I'm always at least on time, if not ahead. So then if I do get like a really busy night, I don't have a ton of work plus all this other work I've been procrastinating on. So yeah.
And what advice would you give to any other student right now?
I think that relates to the first question, because it's just manage your time so that, you know, if you like have a late or a light night of like homework, then you just do it and get out of the way, and then you have a free night to do whatever, hang out with your family, hang out with your friends, do extracurriculars, whatever. And then just like, if you don't have something to do, just try to give yourself the time off and enjoy being a senior. But if you do have stuff to do, then just put in the work, get it out of the way, so then you just don't have to worry about it anymore.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time and good luck in the next quarter.
Thank you.
Such a great video. Thanks so much to Andrew and RCTV for putting that together again this quarter. It's really nice to see our students recognized, and maybe not always a student who is an athlete or an artist or a musician who we typically come and see at school board meetings. So it's nice to have time to be able to recognize these students.
It is. It's a little bit more getting into really the nuts and bolts. It's the whole package that those teachers are looking at when they're nominating those students. And it's great to see another group of students that we can recognize and say, hey, great job, keep going on the track you're on, and we see you and we recognize what you're doing. So yeah, it's definitely nice to see that. I'm so glad that program was added to the quarter, and the girls wearing the blazers, they look great too when they do that.
I know, those blazers make such a difference for our student ambassadors. It's nice to see the blazers out again in person as well. We've had them hanging up for a bit.
That's right. That's right.
So not to overdo it with the videos in this table talk, but I do want to include our presentation from last night from the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, the EDI committee. Dr. Purcell Whitaker, our special education supervisor, Dr. Melissa Patchke, Upper Providence Elementary School principal, and Beth Lease from Human Resources. The three of them gave an update from the EDI committee. And again, Andrew did a great job putting everything together. I think in a pre-COVID year, all of the people who were in this video would have come to a school board meeting to present their piece and talk about professional development, what students are doing, what we're starting to look at in the community, how curriculum is going to be changing moving forward. So this video was just such a nice piece to watch last night, to see how everything's being pulled together as we don't start this committee. It's been around for, I think Beth said, since early 2019, 18 or 19.
I think she said 19. Yep.
But it's starting to grow and expand and include more people and include more conversations. So let's take a look at that video now as well.
Deanne and I are co-leading the professional development subcommittee for the diversity group.
We are just working to find out what our staff needs and then work to find out what's the best way we can bring them professional development to increase our awareness of the diverse perspectives and backgrounds of our students, and how to include that in our curriculum, in our training, to make sure that every student is comfortable.
We have took the opportunity in both November and just recently at the end of February, beginning of March, to pull together small cohorts of staff representation on specific topics to find out what is truly happening in the Spring-Ford Area School District and where do we need to move that needle and move forward as our work progresses.
Focus groups have been really exciting for everyone too, because we found out there's a lot of staff who are really interested in this training and have already begun doing things on their own, and then they're interested to share that with each other. So I think it's going to go really well when we roll out the professional development.
We are the growth and learning module for how we're going to help people come together and do what's right for our staff, our students, and our community.
All these are touchy topics, and you really just need to listen before you react to a lot of them. I think that is kind of the hardest thing to do sometimes.
We want to engage students' perspectives regarding how Spring-Ford and staff are doing to ensure that all students feel seen, heard, and safe within our classrooms. while also enlisting them to promote and increase equity, diversity, and inclusion within our entire district. The Cultural Awareness Club is going to be doing a pilot program, potentially with Brook Elementary, starting for next school year to help increase cultural awareness and cultural related activities for our elementary school students.
We have recently initiated a pilot survey distributed to 22 voluntary high school participants in grades 9 through 12, intending to obtain some information, their student experiences and perspectives about equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Students shared that they have overall positive experiences with staff, but there were fewer positive experiences with peers that lacked staff intervention.
They also identified curriculum as being an area that we're lacking diversity. So they would like to be able to see themselves being represented in what's actually being taught.
We want to look at the materials that are being used. We want to make sure that they're realistic, that they're respectful, and really that they give portrayals of various racial, ethnic, and cultural groups.
We're currently looking at social justice standards and trying to create that rubric for what teachers already have in their hands, those supplemental things that they might be using, and also the curriculum we already have. However, that's just to evaluate, okay, if I'm going to teach a story about Thomas Edison in our Journeys curriculum, but I want to bring in a supplemental article about him to evaluate that article kind of on the fly to make sure I'm pulling in something actively. It's the short-term solution to making sure that everything from this point on we pull in is appropriate.
We want to make sure that teachers have resources that help build empathy, respect, understanding, and connection to others that are both similar and different.
Because we're specifically looking at curriculum, it's going to touch everybody in the district in some way, shape, or form. It's going to have teachers reflect on their practices and what they're putting out to kids. It's going to hopefully build unity among the student body and our staff to students, just because they will all be able to recognize one another and celebrate those differences.
The community subcommittee is looking to kind of eventually reach out to the community as a whole at the level of parents and families, but also eventually to businesses, to other individuals that are in the community, and kind of connect the whole Springford community. Right now we are doing very background steps and minor steps. As much as everything can happen in school, we need to also share that out to the community to help our students better the area that we live in and become more aware of these different lenses that we have going on. We are more than just one specific look. We have many different nationalities, languages, religions going on within our own buildings, so we do need to represent those students and make sure that we have staff that represents that.
We have our first virtual Multicultural Day coming up. This is going to include any student in grades 5, 6, and 7 who want to participate in this virtual event. This is really an opportunity to show our community what's happening inside the classroom when it comes to EDI.
Each committee does kind of work together to some regard. We split up to be able to tackle more areas, but as we've split up, we have found that each committee needs to work together and build upon each other. The community committee is going to be sharing out what all the other committees are doing.
It's definitely, that was a great presentation last night, and the video piece of that was good. And as I said last night, I felt like the presentation itself and the video was very organized. I feel like it is all it's a deliberate effort. It's a conscious effort. There is a focus on this. More of a focus. I'm happy to say it's been here at Springford, as you said, since 2019, and we are at a point where early 19, right? So, and we're at a point now where we are growing it, and in doing so, I hope that we are meeting more needs, identifying more needs, raising awareness, doing all of those pieces that we need to really have that be inclusive and address everything that needs to be done. And this was something that Springford had recognized as a need, and it began having those talks and has grown that very organized approach over the last, what is it, year and a half now? So kudos to all of those that are involved in that effort, and we'll look to hear more as that moves forward.
And also last night, there was some discussion about the budget, which is really very early stages still as we look at 21-22 school year. We're finishing up with some budget items from this year. There was a lot of talk about grants and sort of COVID money that was provided to the district that we're working through, and how some of that money and funding will go forward next year as well. It's very early stages, and all of this work comes out of committee. And we do have 6 committees that meet monthly, and with all of the committees, that's where the work takes place. The board meetings, we are approving, you guys are approving different initiatives and items that come out of committee meetings, but committee is really where the nuts and the bolts of the entire working board really happens.
Absolutely, you're right.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of committee level work?
It's very important because, as you said, that's the nuts and bolts. That's the nitty gritty. That's where we're getting into the details of the different pieces, whether it's the budget and finance or some of the issues in property that we heard about, or curriculum, policy, what have you. That's where the work is happening. When we go to the board table, we're really at that point reporting. They are board and committee reports. They are giving the highlights and the result of the efforts and the dissection of what's happening in the committee. We're in the committee structure. It's the culmination of that that's brought to the board table, shared with the rest of the board, and then at times voted on when there is a motion. And many times there's a motion for different items. So the committee structure is so very important to the effectiveness of the board. That's where it happens in there. So yeah, we talked about the committees a little bit last night. You're welcome. They're open to the public. They can be attended by the public, just like the board meetings can, and they're also available on Zoom at this point. We have that in place. I will say that I, for one, am not looking, and I will say this very openly, I am not looking to eliminate the Zoom at all, because I do think that maybe that's one of the silver linings of COVID, because we have been able to engage more community members who may have other obligations. And I certainly understand that it's not always easy to just get out. There are child rearing responsibilities, child care responsibilities. There are activities to get to, which may be increasing more now too. And there are events at home. And so I understand that it's not always feasible to just jump out, but you can jump on a Zoom and really get in, see what's happening in the committees, and also see what the product of that is that's presented at the board table.
When we talk about, I mean, again, a benefit of what has come out of this year, if we attend every committee night as well as every board meeting night, that's 5 nights out of the month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up, especially when you have all sorts of other activities going on with family and different things happening with work. I find myself attending committee meetings from home. I'm in the kitchen, I'm watching on the iPad, I'm making dinner, or maybe sometimes I have Bravo up in the background as well, and I'm watching, The Real Housewives of Atlanta, getting caught up on that one. So it is nice to be able to attend and remain active, but still maintain some sense of normalcy from home and still be able to get done what needs to get done.
There's greater participation from all of us. From all of us, and I think from the community, there's greater engagement with the community with having that option. That's what I think.
So we do post those meeting dates and times on the website. I usually include a couple times a month in weekly update, which goes out every Wednesday, a review of what's coming up. And I have been really since COVID started, at least last summer, every Monday that we have a school board meeting, I send out a reminder to our community, which I think when we look at the numbers, in the heat of things, our numbers were pretty high for people who were watching.
They were very high, ridiculously high.
They're not quite as high, but they're still higher than they were before all of this started. And I think really probably sending those Monday reminders encourages people to come attend our school board meetings. Certainly, we would love for them to attend virtually our committee meetings as well. So come and join us.
Yes, I think so. And I think that maybe another silver lining of maybe I look at it now as a silver lining of COVID, but with the greater engagement, I think there's also a better understanding of the role of school board than there ever had been previously. So yeah, it's an opportunity to connect. I mean, we are there as representatives of the community, right? We represent our constituents and the community. So here's an opportunity or a way for the community to be further engaged or better engaged or have another line of communication open. So I'm in favor of keeping that.
There was a lot of talk last night about property being the best committee. It's definitely community relations.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm going to have to go with you on that because I know.
Yes, the first Tuesday of the month.
That's right.
We're
I happen to chair that.
We're the best committee.
We are.
Forget that property business. Get out of there, Mr. Jackson. It's all about community relations.
That's right. That's right.
So
I was waiting for you to get up and say that last night because I was right there to support you. So
we don't have mics at the table. We're going to get mics at the table for admin next week or next meeting.
Good.
Andrew's going to set them up.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have had my finger on that mic saying, nope, it's community relations, best committee, not that property.
That's right.
I am going to end our episode. You don't know this, but I've done a little bit of research. It is, what is this month called?
I love surprises, not.
It is National Women's History Month. And Mrs. Zasowski, did you know that in the history of the school district, you are our third female board president? That's pretty exciting, I think.
Excuse me. I know. I did. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Since 1966, you are our third female board president. We had Elizabeth Marburger and Donna Williams twice before you, and Colleen Zasowski. And then to top that, you are also our third, you have been our third at some point, female vice president.
Yes, I was vice president. Oh, wow, really?
Yep, you were vice president. I'm looking at my document right here in 2019. Dawn Haney was vice president in 2018. And then somewhere back here, Janet Stokes was in 2000 and 2001. So third for both. Yeah, that's pretty neat, I think, especially for Women's History Month. And in the history of the school district, it's a lot of years we're looking at since the jointure when Royersford School District and Spring City School District and when everybody came together. This was exciting. I was happy to see that. So congratulations, double third, we'll call it. But for you, what does that mean to be a female leader in our school district?
It was a very difficult year this year. I'm not going to say that it wasn't, but I'm honored and I'm really blown away, but I'm really honored to think, wow, that really, you're sure?
Yes, I've got a really long spreadsheet in front of me.
That seems like I'm really honored and privileged. I'm honored and privileged to be a part of this district, to serve this district. I hold it very close to my heart and had never even thought about that. Thought I was just another one in a long line of predecessors. But I feel very honored and wow, to have that come up during Women's History Month too. That is it's almost an accomplishment. That I didn't
It
know
is.
about. So
It's an accomplishment.
It
It's
is.
it's a long list, and it's a slow change that's happening. We don't often see, and I know through PSBA there's some courses that are offered and information that
Yes.
goes out. It's traditionally school boards are a lot of times predominantly male. So to be our third female vice president and vice president is a big accomplishment. So, and this year we have 6 female board members, which is definitely a stronger presence than we've seen in the past. And it's a change, and it's exciting to see how our board is growing and changing.
Yeah, I mean, it does change the dynamics. There's a different focus, I think, that women bring to anything that they join or become a part of or put their energy towards. Yeah, I definitely, that was a surprise. That wasn't mentioned in the pre-chat, but it took me by surprise there. But again, I'm flattered, I'm honored, I'm privileged to be, and there've been, lots of emotional moments. I do want to go back to one other thing too, because as surprising as that is, and how you took me off guard there, you did take me off guard a short while ago, also, you and Mr. Rizzo and Andrew. So I'm going to throw that right back at you. You put out a video that captured the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And as a board member, as the president of the board, as a parent, as a community member, just it didn't matter which hat I had on at that moment when I watched that video. But you did such an excellent job of capturing not only the events and the timeline, but the emotion that went with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very grateful. And I'd like to say that part of that was because you were there, Erin, because you brought that focus that women bring that's a little bit different sometimes to that piece, and that piece that you were working on at the time. So it touched the heartstrings. I know mine and many others that I heard from in the community, and I thank you for that. That's something that I'll want to go back and look at again and again and again. And yeah, so thank you.
I wasn't planning on putting that in here, but I think I can. We'll end with our year in review video, our 1-year anniversary, if you will. In what Mr. Rizzo put out in the letter he put out, he said anniversaries are usually a good thing to celebrate. And this one, nobody wants to celebrate a year of
Depends
COVID,
on how you look at it, though. It really does.
At what we did accomplish and what our community accomplished this year, and how far we've come in
Amazing.
the past 365 days. And Andrew did a phenomenal job pulling together all of the videos. And when we went back and looked and thought, yeah, those first 2 weeks, our teachers were making videos from home to keep kids engaged and doing the Ramful learning videos and reading with their dogs and doing things with their kids and finding different activities. And then to have the first day of school and then the second first day of school, he did a really great job pulling everything together.
Really did. It just,
really, yeah. It was
that
very
needs
good.
that needs to be submitted for that Pennsboro.
It will be.
Okay, it's good.
It will be. Well, let's do a virtual high five for Women History Month to all of the ladies who are making a difference in our community, on our school board, in our schools. And thank you, Colleen, for everything that you've done this year.
Oh, thank you, Erin. Thank you, Erin, for everything that you and everybody else there has done. This has totally been, this last year in particular, every year, but this last year in particular has been a team approach to everything. And all of these accomplishments and all of the resources for the students to still be successful, all of that, as we mentioned earlier, all of that coming together, it wouldn't have happened if there wasn't a team approach happening at Springford, and there is. And so thank you for the just making things happen. That's what you do there. And it's much appreciated and recognized. And here's to the end of the school year. We have one quarter that we're going, the fourth quarter that we're going into.
Yep.
So here's to that, to being
We
a
have
a
under
success.
60 school days left.
Yes, and we're
not
going to
bad.
fly high
We're
with
getting
as
there.
much in person that we can do to celebrate and honor our students and come together as a school community. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you. Well, until next month.
Next
Good
month.
seeing you.
Okay. Bye.
No random questions today either. I've already thrown you off.
good.
enough.
I
No
think you
random
gave me
questions.
enough of a surprise. You sure did. So
Yep.
if you had asked me that, if you had asked me what I thought, where I was, like, 10th, 20th, I probably would have said, oh, I don't know. There's probably about 30 women that have been
Nope.
before
Our
me.
third female board president.
No pressure.
You're doing good things. We appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you. All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
You too.
Thanks.
On Thursday, March 12th, the Springford Area School District was notified by Montgomery County Health Department that all schools in Montgomery County will close for a period of 2 weeks and 1 day.
As the COVID-19 pandemic affects our community and our physical buildings are closed, we have now rolled out a virtual learning environment.
Happy Friday, everyone. Today we're going to grab a jump rope and head outside because today's movement challenge involves learning how to complete a double under.
Today is St. Patrick's Day, so we are going to make some Irish soda bread.
Today we spent time going around the house looking for things that would go into a color wheel.
We're going to read Penny and Pup.
Say good morning, Roxy. Wow, she's not always polite.
And I want to let you know that you are missed, you are special, and we cannot wait to see you.
Saw my teacher on a Saturday. I can't believe it's true. I saw her buying groceries like normal people do.
It's a mystery, and it's math, and it's fun, and you do estimating.
Sensory walks are great activities for the whole family.
Brian Akins here from Upper Providence Elementary School.
And today I'm going to read to you the most magnificent thing.
Honored to receive an Impact Award from you, and I hope to talk to you soon.
You have handled the challenges of this year and COVID-19 in a championship fashion.
We did switch our prom around and they're responsible for that. End of the year events are really important. Graduation's huge.
Never once did I anticipate greeting you through a screen.
We finally made it, and while it may look a little bit different than we were expecting, we're here.
Daniela Isabella Adali.
Dana V. Douglas.
Natalie, Renee, Mason,
Kylie,
Brooke, Schaefer,
James Primo Albert.
Grace Elizabeth
Anthony,
Eagle.
Christoph Zygmunt.
Hi, Springford. Welcome back.
Is there a motion to allow for the option to return students to in-person learning beginning November 12th using a blended model, which would also provide a virtual option for those who choose to learn via the virtual platform?
So move.
Second.
We got this.
We got this.
We got this.
We got this. You got this.
You got this.
Have a good birthday.
Just want to take a moment just to thank the community, thank the staff, thank Spring Forward for 10 great years.
Thanks for listening, and make sure to rate and review this podcast. We have new episodes of the RAMcast every other Wednesday. The RAMcast is produced by the Office of Communications, Marketing, and Media, and special thanks to our audiovisual technician, Rich Privetti. Thanks, everyone.